everyone, so welcome back to another update of the engine development. So I just wanted to give you a quick update what I've been up to. It's not going to be a lot of pretty pictures because it's been a lot of engine side of work, build system and so on, but still there is some interesting stuff to look at. So well, first of all, let me show you really quick what's the state of the engine, right? So I think I posted it on Twitter, on social media anyway. So I have a full character, a full skin character. So skinning is not perfect, so it was quickly done. You see it's going through. There are several things to fix, but I have a full character, right? So it's emotionless. Actually, I think the teeth are missing, but I have hair, I have skin, right? So hair is pretty bad, but as a first quick pass, so you can see aliasing on the hair is horrible, but I just wanted to get it in. So animation is working, skinning is working, that's good. So that's the current state, right? After that, I started to do a cleanup on the build system, right? Because one of the issue I had was not really an issue, but all my dependencies were part of the project, right? This means that every time I was building my engine, there was a chance that, doing a clean build, all my dependencies will be built, like compressionator and whatever, which is not a big deal on this machine. It's an 8 core, but every time I work on my surface would catch fire. So I decided to separate that. So now inside vendors, which is where I have the dependency, right? So this is not included anymore in the main CMake, it's separate. And what it does is it goes into the build dependency, and here I have them built and committed in the repository. So it's not going to build them anymore. Whenever I have to build them, I do it and then I save them. I commit them with the repository. So now, if you see my repository here, we just have the plugins of the compiler, the resource compiler itself, the actual game sandbox, and the engine and the test. That's it. There is no more dependency in here, which helps a lot in several cases. Speed up the build. IntelliSense is struggling a lot less. ResHarper is struggling a lot less. All the warnings from the from the dependencies, which I really don't have control over, those are gone. So I still have few warnings in my engine, which are my fault, but I'm going to fix them, and then almost warning free, right? Once that was done, I started to remove a lot of my warning, which required me to clean up a lot of STL type that I had in my interfaces, because my engine is a DLL. STL and interface and DLLs don't really play together nicely. I cleaned all that up. I using my own type. I can export my own type properly. So that was really good. I wrote a lot more tests. This forces me to change completely how my rendering graph works. So I can actually show you really quick. How did I call it? Node graph. There we go. So the node graph has been rewritten. It doesn't use string all over the place anymore. You can address plugs by index and so on. So it's much better. With that said, this was all a lot of work done in the build system itself. And finally, then I started to work on the scripting. Actually, before that. So now I finally have I integrated GitHub Actions, right? I'm in the beta, so every time I push, the engine builds both debug and release. It runs the test and makes sure everything is alright. So that's something I wanted for a lot of time. Now I have, pretty good. But the next things I started to work on was LUA scripting, right? So I wanted to integrate a scripting language in the engine, and at first I went with C#, because I like C#. I did a lot of interop, C++, C#. I like the debugging tools. I can just debug in Visual Studio, etc. The problem is that I will talk more about this it didn't end up well. There were a lot of issues, especially with .NET Core 3.0, the new one, for doing those kind of things. So I had to give up, and I went back to Lua. Not for a particular reason, mostly like it's one of the most used, so there is more documentation, literature, and it literally took me like 5 minutes to compile and get it into the engine. So literally 5 minutes to get a basic hello world. So but anyway, enough for the ranting. So here we have, you can see that I'm spamming the console with a hello 40, which basically this hello 40 is coming from a script, from this script before I reloaded. So here instead I had a hello 40. So now if we go and reload the script, I can usually do it from here, or I can just use a shortcut, which is like square brackets in my case. So the script reloads, and now it's loading this script. You see it's doing a rotate main camera on the Y. So I'm spinning on the character, right? So what happens if now I slow it down? So I go in, I slow it down, I reload it, right? So now you can see the rotation is much slower, or I can go something crazy, reload the script, and it starts spinning like crazy, right? Let's put it down to something sensible. So, and I can reload as many times as I want, and you will see that now I'm gonna press reload and keep it pressed, so every frame pretty much is gonna reload. So now you see the spikes that starts to get higher and higher in the average. So we can see that it starts to reload and it slows down every time it reloads. And it's interesting to see that at least you see the animation speed-wise doesn't slow down, right? So also the animation-wise, the animation system is working, it's sampling correct in the time. So this is nice to see. So yeah, that's where pretty much I'm at with the engine. I'm not sure what I'm going to do now, because so the main reason to have scripting was to start to have a state machine, right? So basically, so I can have the character idle, then go walk, go run, and start moving around, right? Problem is that with all this work I did on the engine side, now I kind of want to do a bit more graphics, probably at least getting shadows, or at least a nice ground with some parallax in it. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. This is kind of a good point to stop and start to do some graphics again, and then go back to the actual character controller. So I'm gonna sit on it a little bit to see what I want to do. If you have any opinion, what you would rather see done first, let me know. But this is it for this update of the engine. See you in the next one.